My name is Edward Richtofen, and I have been trying so very hard to do the right thing.
Edward Richtofen is a character with a massive ego and confidence in his actions. This confidence leads Ultimus Richtofen to seek out the power of the ether. His Primus counterpart, which we first meet in Origins, is quite similar. He believes that what he is doing is just. In the words of a Gilrod Crovey cipher, "I know at some point in the future, I will be in a situation where I put the needs of the many ahead of my own life. I will save the world." On the surface, he is the noble, heroic version of Richtofen. He wants to believe he, and only he, can carry the burden of the knowledge given to him by the Chronorium, because he must atone for the actions of his Ultimus self and become the nicest one. In actuality, Primus Richtofen allows his own ego to influence his actions, and he plays into the cycle inadvertently. Where Primus Richtofen and Ultimus Richtofen differ, however, is the way in which they react once they realize their mistakes.
Well, I can honestly say I never imagined being in this position. I mean, look at us! All body. I'm not going to apologize for all the terrible things I have done, because frankly, I'm not sorry for anything. Yeah, I've had the time of my life!
The cycle is broken, Herr Doctor. As such, insurance policies are no longer needed. I wish I could tell you I was sorry, Edward, but I'm not. No, you can help me. You're a doctor. I wanted to keep going. This me. My slightest heart. You won't even remember.
Watch the way the two interact in the Giant's opening cutscene. Ultimus Richtofen looks upon himself with triumph, respect, and perhaps even excitement as he removes his cap in solidarity. But Primus Richtofen has a look of disdain. He's looking at not only an evil man who manipulated billions in the pursuit of power, but he's looking at a reflection of himself. This dark reflection is something that he could become, and he has become before. With no impunity, Richtofen executes his other self, for no other reasons than that he stood in his way and represented a past he wished to put behind him. Self-loathing is a difficult phenomena to understand without having experienced it yourself. I can say from my own experience that it afflicts every thought and every action of the day with doubt, and any tiny mistake is blown way out of proportion in your own mind. A person with self-loathing holds themselves to a higher standard than others, as any therapist would tell you. An example of this in Richtofen is his reaction once he learns of the true nature of the cycle.
This doctor, he tells me one more thing. He tells me he realizes that Dr. Monty is not inherently evil. Dr. Monty, he says, is trying to save the multiverse the safest way he knows how. By forcing us into this cycle, our story will never end. But also, his universe and his existence will be guaranteed. I can't blame him, he says. Dr. Monty is much like you and me. He just wants to survive.
Despite Monty's deception, Richtofen still cannot blame him. Even though Monty has allowed the suffering of every living being on Earth who knows how many times, Richtofen understands the desire to want to live. Richtofen himself wants the same thing, and is just as guilty, blinding himself to the truth and the pursuit of redemption for Ultimus Richtofen's actions. Richtofen does not blame Monty, but does he blame himself?
I wish I could tell you I was sorry, Edward. But I'm not.
Yeah, he does. Again, Richtofen holds little regard for his past self. This fool, this coward, and the dark mechanism deserves his fate. He should have known better. Should have. But just like him, he only did what he did because the book told him to. But there are times when Richtofen almost seems sure of himself, even confident.
I have lied. I have cheated. I have deceived. All for a purpose you could never understand. I would not change a single thing. He thinks I do not know. But I do. The blood will protect me.
Someone who is self-loathing tends to see that voice in their head reminding them of their failures, as almost an entirely separate entity from themselves. Primus Richtofen is in a unique situation where there are other actual manifestations of himself from past cycles and alternate dimensions, but this particular Richtofen holds all other Richtofens to a higher standard, and he condemns and despises them for doing things that are completely and utterly human, things he would do himself. Richtofen's version of self-doubt and self-loathing is relatable to many people that are suffering from anxiety or depression. He blames himself for the suffering inflicted on the universe, despite the root cause really being 115 and the ether's corruption of the mind. As easy as it is for us as bystanders to blame him entirely, no one blames Richtofen more than Richtofen. His comrades may forgive him, but he may never forgive himself.
I was just a boy then, an innocent. I was a sensitive child, a lonely child, orphaned at a young age. I never got to know who I really was. But one day, I learned who I would grow up to be.
What do you speak of, Richtofen?
I had to do it. The Chronorium told me. I had to trick the poor little innocent me into trusting a complete stranger.
Jeez, Richtofen. I don't think I like where this is going.
Me neither, Dempsey. But that's the sad truth of it all. I took my own soul before it could ever have the chance to flourish. Is it any wonder I'm the way I am?